In today's video, we're on the Pit Boss smoking some beef short ribs. Hey, this is Ricer from Dead Broke Barbecue of Wisconsin, and welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, we try to help you enhance and amplify your backyard barbecue fun. So if you haven't subscribed already, do it now. And also, everything that I use in my videos are in the links below, so check them out. You never know, you might find a good deal. And today we're on the Pit Boss smoking up some beef short ribs. They come from the plate section, and I didn't have them cut down. I just told the butcher, leave them as they are. I left them in the whole plate itself. And if you're asking, a plate of ribs? No, it's not a plate of ribs. It's just the location on the cow itself where they call it the plate. Now these ribs are gonna have a flat and wider bone. They're not the back ribs where the ribeye steaks are located. Because when they're cutting off ribeyes, they're gonna get really right down into that bone and they're gonna clean them off clear. This has a good chunk of meat on top of it, and it almost tastes a lot like brisket. Now, plate ribs or short ribs are pretty easy to do. You just gotta put in the time. And just like a brisket, you're gonna wanna put it in a cooler and give it a little bit of rest. Let it absorb some of that moisture back in it before you go ahead and start cutting off a bone. But on this cook, I only let these rest for about an hour because I had a bunch of screaming kids that were telling me they were hungry. So grab your flip-flops and your lawn chair, Charlie. We're gonna smoke up some beef short ribs. In today's video, we're on the Pit Boss doing some beef ribs. And this rack comes from the location where they cut out your short ribs. And when I went to the butcher, I said, just give me the rack. I don't want you to cut them into short ribs. I wanna just put this whole thing right in the smoker. And if you ever smoked up some short ribs, the little chunks, they're very tasty, but areas have a lot of fat. So I wanna be able to trim some of that fat off and get right to the meat. If I trim any more in this area, it's gonna go all the way to the bone. But when they're smoked up in a whole rack, they're really tasty, they're awesome. And if the butcher will sell you the complete rack, you are gonna have some fat cap on it that you're gonna have to trim off. And once you get to the bottom of that fat, there's gonna be a little bit of silver skin. Just take your knife and peel it right off. And you'll end up with something like this. But a whole rack of short ribs is awesome. In my opinion, it tastes better than brisket flat. It's gonna be pretty similar to a point. And we're gonna low and slow these until they get a nice bark, and then we're gonna go ahead and throw them in a foil pan and braise them up a little bit so they're nice and tender. And for the rubs we're using today, we're gonna keep it kind of simple. We're just gonna use some Suckle Busters SPG and add their 1836 beef rub. We'll start by seasoning the backside, and we're not gonna take this membrane off. If you take this membrane off, they're gonna fall apart. And we kind of want them still for a little presentation. Go ahead and put a little bit of the 1836. We don't need much. Tap it down. And repeat on the other side, and be ready. This SPG is gonna make you want to sneeze. Get the edges a little bit. Now I'll come back over with our 1836. All right, our rack of beef short ribs are all seasoned up. While they set and sweat a little bit, I'll go out and get the Pit Boss ready, and then we can get these on some smoke. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our Pit Boss up and running. Turn the power on and turn the Pit Boss right to smoke. Open up the lid, and once the white smoke is all dissipated, we'll go ahead and close it up and let that pit come up to temperature so we can clean off the grates easier. Okay, she's burning nice and clean. Let's go ahead and close up the lid, bring this up to temp. I usually only give it about 10 minutes, and then it's a lot easier to clean off my grates. And I keep these little chunks of aluminum foil after I get done using them just to cover up some of the foil pans. You can call it recycling, because there's two things that I wish the 1100 Pro Series had. Regular wire grates and a setting at 275 degrees. That 250 to 300, it's too big of a range for a lot of the stuff that I like to cook. But I'm not gonna bore you with cleaning off my grates, but that's what we're gonna do right now. But I never use a wire brush because I am one of those people that have witnessed one of these come off onto the grates. I only use a wire brush to clean the inside of the pit, not anything where I'm gonna put any food on it. You don't wanna swallow one of these metal fibers, trust me. All right, the grates are all cleaned up. Let's get these beef short ribs in some smoke. Okay, let's get these in. But we're gonna keep the thicker part on the right-hand side, but set up these short ribs over on the left side of the grill, because I always tell you that this side runs a little cooler than this side. And this is a little bit thicker, so we're a little closer to that fire pot. We will end up rotating these eventually, but for right now, let's start just like this. Okay, we'll close up the lid and set a timer for 1 hour. We're gonna leave this Pit Boss set to smoke. and get these short ribs as much smoke as we can for 1 hour. And the pellets that we're using today are 100% hardwood competition blend from Pit Boss. Okay, so our 1 hour timer went off. We're gonna go ahead and turn up the Pit Boss to 250 degrees. And on this cook, I'm gonna go ahead and add a water pan. I feel that these pellet grills, sometimes on beef, either brisket or chuck roast or ribs, kind of dries them out a little bit. So putting in a water pan helps keep that pit filled with some moisture. But our ribs are starting to look good. You can tell that they're starting to get a little bit of smoke. We'll just put this water pan over on this side for right now. And that'll help give some moisture throughout the cooking chamber. But oh yeah, they're starting to get some smoke on it. You can tell, it's starting to change a little color. Close up the lid and set a timer for 1 hour. Then we're just gonna come out and just check and see how these ribs are doing. If they're starting to look a little bit more done on one side, we'll rotate them either 90 or 180, just depends. And for right now, we're not gonna add any moisture to the outside of these. We just wanna start developing that really nice bark. Later in the cook, we might go ahead and spritz them with a 50-50 mixture of some apple vinegar cider and some water. But before we even put any spray on them, we're most definitely gonna get these up around 170, 175 degrees first. And for all of you that are thinking, why is Ricer in the garage? Well, it's because it's kind of raining out today. I'm out here in a sweatshirt, but I'm a Viking, I can handle it. But you can see, we got a little bit of snow, wet roads. Yeah, it was raining earlier. I don't want to be caught outside, get all wet and get pneumonia. Just for a YouTube video? So that's the biggest reason why I end up cooking in my garage, guys. And when you're cooking short ribs, it gives you a good time. Get out, the weather isn't terrible. You can get a little bit of fresh air. Okay, I'm tired now. In my small town, people aren't used to professional vloggers or vloggers. So I get a lot of people staring at me when I'm carrying my camera around. Some people think, God, he's cool. He's got a camera that's on a stick. So our 1 hour timer just went off. Let's go ahead and check out these ribs and see what type of color and see if we're starting to build some type of bark. Yeah, it's starting to look like something's happening there. Getting a nice mahogany color, but we're gonna wanna get these a little darker. Rub's starting to stick, that's good. They're looking all right. For only 2 hours into this cook, you can see just a minor little bit of pullback on the bones. It's starting. Not gonna rotate them yet. I like how they're looking. Still got plenty of water. Close up the lid and set a timer for another hour. We're just gonna come back out and just check and see how these are doing. We wanna make sure that we have enough pellets in our grill, and just check that water pan too. You wanna make sure that we have some moisture in it. But the next time you see me is when we're gonna get these ribs up to about 170 degrees. Then we're gonna decide, are we gonna put them in a foil pan or are we gonna leave them on just a little bit longer? We wanna get that nice dark bark. I know, you're gonna miss me, but don't worry, I'll be back. I promise. All right, we're 5 hours into this cook and we're gonna check out the temperatures on that rack of beef short ribs. Now, they're looking good. They've got some nice color going to them. Let's check out some temps here. Okay, right at that 190, 180. Try to get in between the bones a little bit. 176. It's not bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and rotate them a little bit. I'm gonna put them on this side and give them about another half an hour, and then I think it's time to wrap them up. Set a timer for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna come back out, check the temperatures, but most likely then we'll put them in a foil pan. We're gonna braise them up, and then we're gonna go for the probe tenderness that we're always looking for. All right, our 30-minute timer went off. Let's go ahead and check out those temperatures, and we're most likely gonna go ahead and put it in a foil pan. Pick it up. Well, I'm liking the bark, that's for sure. Check it right here in between the bone. Yeah, she's at 92, 93. I think this side's gonna be a little warmer. I think we're gonna go ahead and throw it in a foil pan and start braising it up. We're not gonna eat our water anymore, but we'll just slide that over. Take our ribs off. Carefully get them in the aluminum pan. And we're gonna add just a little bit of beer for our braising. Now you don't always have to add a lot of liquid to these. because they will produce their own. But because we took them so far, a lot of the moisture has already come off. So this will just help it out. Grab a piece of aluminum foil, just cover them up. And we're gonna turn them just like this so we get more of an even temperature throughout that rack of ribs. Might as well take out our water pan. Ain't gonna do any good when these are under foil. Close up the lid, and I'm gonna set a timer for 30 minutes because from here on out, I'm gonna start checking for probe tenderness. I'll bring you out again when I feel that we're starting to go through it just like peanut butter. All right, we're 7 hours into this cook, and we're gonna check out the tenderness on this rack of beef spare ribs. Remember, we want this to go through just like it's going into a jar of peanut butter. Zero resistance. Okay, let's check it out. Yeah, there is nothing. It drops right to the bone. Looking good. Check out our temps. Oops. 205, 206 between that bone. .204, 205. Perfect. Okay, we'll shut off the pit boss. We're gonna leave open the foil and let them steam off a little bit before we go ahead and put them in the cooler. We don't want them to continue cooking. They're just gonna rest and absorb some of that juice. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut into them and give them a try. I'm excited. Okay, so our rack of beef spare ribs is rested for 1 hour. I cut into it just so I could make my thumbnail, but this is what we've got. Wow. I don't know if that's focusing in, but it's beautiful. It's got a nice bark, got a decent smoke ring. Let's just lop off a chunk, take a bite. It's tender. The Suckle Busters SPG and the 1836 is making this piece of meat shine. This is a perfect combination for beef, trust me. Some countries would go to war over this chunk of meat. I know we're gonna be fighting around this household. Who's gonna get the most of it? Slice off another chunk. Huh? Now, if you've never done a beef rack of spare ribs, do it. It's like a brisket with bones, and it gives you that beefy flavor that we all appreciate out of a beef low and slow. And using these 2 Suckle Busters rubs gives us a perfect balanced flavor. You can taste the pepper in it. Obviously, this is made in Texas. This is why I'm cutting it, because it's just gonna pull off the bone anyways. The great thing about leaving that membrane, it still hangs on there. Don't peel the membrane off from any beef ribs. It's just gonna fall apart. And after a low and slow cook, that membrane gets nice and tender. You can bite through it. And if you followed my channel long enough, you know that I don't squeeze any of my beef and try to show you how juicy it is. And you can see from the shine here, she's juicy. So if you can, ask your butcher, instead of cutting them into the short ribs, can you just give me the whole rack? That's the best way to cook them in a smoker, in my opinion. Nah, sorry guys, you don't want any of these. I dropped them on the floor.
No way, we'll still eat them.
Dang it. Now let's read some comments from our last video. Barbecue Pit Dog says, dry ribs plus Pit Boss equals damn delicious barbecue. Another excellent video, bud. Oh, and 1 beer per 45-minute timer? I need to try that out so I don't keep on running out of beer. Take care, bud. Well, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching my videos. It means a lot to me coming from a guy that's been posting a lot of videos on YouTube for a long time. I really appreciate it. Now, Rob has a pretty decent sized video library, so go over and check him out and tell him Ricer sent you. I think his last video had something to do with spam. And another comment comes from Greenhorn BBQ and Beer. Todd says, nice video, great editing and camera work. Cheers! Well, thanks, Todd. I really appreciate you leaving a message about my video production. I take a lot of pride into it and I spend a lot of time doing it. So maybe I'm just a chubby super nerd. I don't know. Now, Todd, you're not too shabby yourself at making videos, and right around the corner, next thing you know, you're gonna hit that magical 1,000 subscribers. So keep it up, bud, and keep on pushing and making blue smoke. Now, both of these channels are gonna be listed in the description below, so go over and check them out and tell them Ricer sent you. They'll appreciate you stopping by and becoming a subscriber now. Don't just get lazy and watch a video, become a subscriber also. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become a subscriber. Turn on that notification bell because you don't want to miss my next video, do ya? Come on, I don't even want to miss my next video. Now it's the dead of winter right now and I'm gonna keep on trying to post a video a week. But we all know when it's minus blah 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 crazy cold out, it's not too easy to take out a camera and film yourself cooking. Now I am gonna be starting a live stream pretty soon, but it's not gonna be on a special day or time, so make sure you turn on that all notifications so you can come in and join in on the fun. I will post a message to the community so I can give you a heads up when we're gonna be going live. So keep your eyes posted and your ears pinned back and be on the lookout because it's right around the corner. Now I appreciate you watching and we'll see you in the next video. Well, why didn't it shut off? God, fix your car. I hope that thing is on my face because... And you'll hold your hands and you'll all say it. Come on, hurry up. Okay, ready? Okay, shish, quiet. Perfect. All right, hit the stop.
No, wait. We'll still eat 'em.
Now let's read some comments from our last video. Barbecue Pit Dog says, "Oh my God, stop it." Notification bell from Amazon. Somebody might be buying something so they can do something extra for their channel.